Natasha Miller isn't just an entrepreneur. She's a multi-layered, bold gal. Fun facts, she learned how to swim at 30, learned how to double Dutch jump rope at 40, and is just finished writing her memoir at age 50 to be released soon. Natasha, to you.
Thanks, Alex. I was going to talk about how to thrive in spite of hardships, or talk about being dropped off at a homeless shelter on Christmas Day at age 16, just to have 31 years later be appearing on the Inc. 5000 3 years in a row. I could have talked about how I saved my profitable multi-million-dollar business that tanked due to the pandemic. But instead, with this audience, I actually thought that I would talk to you about 3 of the most impactful experiences that I've had in this organization. So the first one is the EMP at MIT. And EMP stands for Entrepreneurial Master's Program. This is a 3-year program, and I should have been graduating this year, but pandemic had other plans. It's 3 days solid each year. You get to go to the Endicott House, which is their executive housing. Only 68 EO members are admitted into this program from all over the world. And you have to apply with an essay and a video. And I learned that only 50% of people that apply make it. It's taught by EO members and presenters, professional presenters, not MIT staff, but you still get that MIT feel. Some of the things that happened and that are happening in this course for me is that I formed really close bonds with EO members from other chapters. There are a handful of accountability groups, little ones, big ones, a WhatsApp channel that's very fierce. Great friendships. A guy from Canada, David, he drove his truck down from Canada, brought guitars, road bikes. I don't really understand what he was thinking, but he has a lot of energy and wanted to make sure that he could make use of that energy and make friends there. Also really important are the business experience sharing and challenges that we get there. So for instance, David, he compares EOS traction versus scaling up. He did both. And he has this whole thing, and we're all interested in which is better for our company. Which one should I do? The cost is about, all told for the 3 years, about $13,500, and it includes room and board. And I thought I'd tell you a couple of the things that I learned there and some of the speakers. Vern Harnish was the first speaker. He had 300 slides. I'm not kidding you. He did not get through all of them, but I felt like after he spoke, I could just go home. It was done. And many of you may have seen Vern speak, but this was the first I did. So talk about a fire hose of information. It was concise, inspirational, and it was one of the most powerful communications I'd ever seen. At this point, I was still thinking a little bit on the small side, but after hearing him talk, I could really see it really opened up a much bigger revenue possibility for me. Also, I began a professional relationship with this person who knows so many wonderful people in the business arena. And I worked with him on his second digital summit during the pandemic. I think that one had Mark Cuban and a bunch of other like luminaries. So it was amazing. And we reach out to each other when there's a need. That was a really powerful connection. The next person that was really impactful to me was Jeff Smart. He's the author of Who, How to Create a Job Description, Hiring Tactics. He did role playing. He really is there to teach people how to make A+ hires. And I was having some serious situations with this. So I took this back to my organization and I improved my hiring with his system. Not only did I listen to his maybe 2.5 hour presentation, but I read the book and I made voracious notes and I created a system and a process, and it's making reviewing employees much more simple, the hiring and the interview process so much more simple. And it actually gave me better insight to train my recruiter and how to talk to him about what I want. One of the things that I want is more diversity in my workforce. And I have learned that you have to say these things out loud. You have to put a stamp on it, and you can't accept anything but what you really want. The next person was Paul Allen, who's the founder of Ancestry.com, which was really cool for me because I had just discovered right before I went to this program that I had a sister that I never knew about. Now, I didn't find her on Ancestry. It's a long story, but what I was able to do was allow us to know for sure we were related because there were some questions. So he's the founder of Ancestry, but he's now partnering with Gallup with his Strengths Inc. business. He's very soft-spoken and humble. These are the things I learned from him, how having a passion and the ability to create an incredible tool doesn't always equate being a good entrepreneur or CEO, or actually being very interested in running a business. He really taught us to find out what our top 5 strengths are and really double down on them and get other people to fill in the rest. I was able to have lunch with him with a couple of other students, and it felt like he was just a fellow EO member. There was no barrier to access. I haven't needed to reach out to him yet, but I know that he would be very accessible. The last guy was Dan Quiggle, and he worked with Ronald Reagan early in his career. He was amazing. If we ever get to bring him, I would love to have him. He asked the question, what do you do? And everyone answered. And I answered, I own an event and entertainment production company. I left that session, and if somebody asks me now, I say, we create bold experiences that drive guest engagement and brand enthusiasm. The next program I want to talk to you about is the EO at Harvard program. It was amazing. 4 days solid. We got to live in the dorms. There were only 95 EO members from all over the world. There's no serious application or video. It is first come, first served. And you get this fancy certificate with a seal from Harvard. I learned so many things there, and I was chosen to present, to do my own case study, which felt amazing. So many other learnings there. We were taught by Harvard professors, and the only other people there teaching were some of the case study people who, let me just tell you, if you've never been to this program, it is cringeworthy. The guy that we were tearing apart his case study was sitting behind me. And I felt so bad for him because all of these entrepreneurs are ripping him apart, not knowing A, that he was there, and B, that actually what we were ripping apart was dead wrong. And the third and the last thing that I want to talk to you about is the Global Speaker Academy. 5 days, I had to wake up at 5 a.m. for that because it was hybrid. 32 EO members from all over the world attended. You have to apply, only 50% made it. It was in its first year. Friendships, practice with each other, potential to receive a certification as an approved EO speaker is available. So it's very cool. I think it will continue next year. These programs can be found on the EO network, but you can always ask me about my experience, and I can actually give you the links. You can use your $500 global event voucher if you have one. Imagine a day when you have unlocked the treasure trove of information that only a tiny percent of EOers have in these programs. Imagine a day when someone asks you, did the MIT program help you double your revenue? Imagine a day when you know you have access to the right tools, strategies, and contacts to always be scaling and growing. I'll leave you with this. EO is many things to people: friendships, forum, travel, experiences, to name a few. I encourage you to look into and apply for these elevated EO programs to expand your education, network, and see for yourself what is missing from your EO journey? Thank you.